Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Pat's Pulpit pregame show here for Monday Night Football between the New England Patriots and the Miami Dolphins. As always, I am here with my good friend Alex Shane to take you around the league and to break down the New England Patriots specifically. Alec, before we jump into it, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, good buddy. I'm a little surprised this is the first Monday Night Football game the Patriots have played. We're into December, and we haven't done this on a Monday night yet. It's pretty mind-boggling. I feel like every year the Patriots get 2 or 3 Monday nighters somehow, and I haven't watched much football this year, as I've admitted on my blog. So this is my first time listening to John Gruden. I can't wait.
This guy right here, he's fantastic. Yeah, this is the fifth primetime game of the year, I believe, right now. They had a couple Thursday nights with the season opener against the Kansas City Chiefs, and then in week 5 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then they had Sunday night against the Falcons, and then who else? Oh, they had the Raiders was at 4. I don't know who the other one was against, but this is I think it was the Denver Broncos coming out of the bye week. And so Patriots have done pretty well in primetime so far. They're facing the Miami Dolphins, which have just been terrible in primetime. This is their 4th primetime game. They are winless. They've lost by an average score of, and I'm not exaggerating, around 37-12. They are not good in primetime. They've been falling on their face and embarrassing themselves. But before we get into this Patriots-Dolphins game, Alec, I'd like to take a spin around the league a little bit because there's a lot that happened, none of it particularly good, and most of it in just a very, very sad way. I'd like to start a little bit with the Philadelphia Eagles, who have just lost Carson Wentz for the season with a torn ACL. For me, I think that's just a real shame. He was a rising star. He had been playing out of his mind this season. He has been excellent. He was the heart of that Eagles offense. And I mean, Philadelphia was the favorite in the NFC. That is probably no longer the case. What do you think the Wentz injury is going to do for the NFC playoff picture?
Yeah, it's tough. You really never want to see that. You never want to see anybody get hurt, obviously. But when you're a leading MVP candidate, kind of a breakout season, really cool story, just a good guy, pillar of the Philadelphia community. There's all kinds of stories of him helping disabled kids and giving back to the volunteerism and whatnot. To see him go down like that and to throw like 4 passes and a touchdown on a torn ACL, pretty remarkable. Really stinks. But it does shake the NFC up quite a bit. I feel like the narrative and this later part of the season was going to be the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Patriots or the Steelers. That was basically what everyone was saying in terms of potential Super Bowl matchups. Now, who knows? You've got a very interesting NFC now with the Rams, you got the Vikings, you got the Saints, you got the Eagles are going under Nick Foles. I don't know how well they'll do with him. So that #1 seed is suddenly really in jeopardy, and an already muddled NFC picture just got a lot murkier.
Yeah, there are a lot of pretty good teams in the NFC, and if we're going off of favorites, I would have to say that the Patriots are probably the best team in the NFL right now, just based off of having Tom Brady, having a great offense with everyone generally healthy. That's crazy to say after losing Julian Edelman before the season even began, but their defense is also playing lights out. The Patriots have the most complete team, but other than the Patriots, I would say maybe the 6 or 7 next best teams are all in the NFC. As you said, you got the Vikings, you got the Rams, the Saints are exceptional. Drew Brees is now the best quarterback remaining in the NFC, and the Saints defense is playing exceptionally well. You have the Panthers, which are finding their groove. They're doing well again. Then you got the Falcons and Seahawks and Packers. Those are kind of the old guard. They're on the outside looking in. I believe that the Falcons technically have the 6th seed right now, but there is a chance that we could see Aaron Rodgers return from his broken collarbone and lead the Green Bay Packers in the NFC. So the door is wide open right now. There isn't a very clear favorite unless you really want to trust Case Keenum and the Minnesota Vikings, which would just be the boldest bet you could make. But with all that we know so far this season, Alec, who would you choose to be the team coming out of the NFC to represent the conference in the Super Bowl?
Rich, if I had to pick right now, it's going to sound crazy, but I can see the Packers sneaking in late, getting really hot and coming out of nowhere. They need some help, I believe. If they finish 10-6, they can make some adjustments, and Aaron Rodgers coming back could be a major development for them. But like I said, they will need some help there. But I'd love to see an Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady Super Bowl. We've been dying for that for a very long time. I'd love to see that. I'm with you. Case Keenum, you can't knock the resume so far this season, but what he's done this year is an anomaly, I think. And once the postseason heats up, I can't imagine him going too far. You don't want to count out Drew Brees ever, but the Saints, there's just, I don't know, a track record of defensive collapses and whatnot. I guess, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead. As much as I like the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers leading them coming back, it's a really nice story. I still like that Vikings defense so much. I just can't trust Case Keenum. Put me on the spot here, Rich. I got to go with the Saints. I think it's a quarterback-driven league. I think quarterbacks win championships. If you have a good quarterback, you can go very far, and that's why I got to go with New Orleans. And I'm not going to get my AFC picks. I don't want to jinx anything, but I have no problem screwing the Saints over with my
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you entirely. I think that the Saints are or at least should be the favorite, because when I think of the teams in the postseason, I'm going to lean on three different variables. First one, quarterback. Who is the best quarterback? I'm going to go with the team with the best quarterback 9 times out of 10. And who are the current players there right now? Nick Foles? I don't think so. Case Keenum? No way. Jared Goff? Maybe in 2 or 3 years. Cam Newton? I'm not going to ride with him. And then Matt Ryan, Russell Wilson, and Aaron Rodgers, sure, maybe, but those are teams when we look towards that next step. Who's the head coach? I think that the head coach is a very, very important role. I think that's why Andy Reid and the Chiefs don't go all the way, is because they don't make the necessary adjustments in order to do that. I think Sean Payton has the mind capable of taking advantage and making the necessary adjustments to make a push in the postseason. I like Wade Phillips, defensive coordinator of the Rams, but I don't know. Sean McVay is in his first year as the head coach. That's something that remains to be seen. I'll take Peyton, who's the proven guy. And then, Pete Carroll is definitely someone that you should trust, and Ron Rivera of the Panthers. And then defense. Defense is extremely important when it gets in the winter time for the postseason. Who's going to stop whom? Rams have a great one. Vikings have a great one. Saints have a great one. The Seahawks are banged up. The Packers is non-existent. And the Falcons is up and down over the course of the season. Eagles are pretty good too, but I mean, they've been exposed in recent weeks. Teams have figured out that you can throw to your running backs in the flat, and they just run down the field wide open. So the team that has all three of those elements in my book are the Saints. I think it could be a Saints versus Rams showdown in the NFC Championship game. I think that would be very, very interesting to watch. And I'm with you. I'm not going to give my AFC prediction yet, but I do think we should move on a little bit before we talk about the AFC, which had games that did not go in the Patriots' favor. Let's talk about a non-favorite in the NFC, but a fan favorite in New England. Old man Jimmy Garoppolo showing up for the San Francisco 49ers. He's had 2 straight starts, and the 49ers are 2-0. Garoppolo is undefeated as a starter. Alec, how has Garoppolo been meeting your expectations?
James Richard Garoppolo. What a guy. I mean, you cannot help but root for him. He learned under Tom Brady, did everything right, said everything right. Those 5.5 quarters he gave us in 2016 will go down in Patriots lore forever. That'll be a great bar trivia question in like 15, 20 years. Tom Brady suspended. Who won games as the backup? Jimmy Garoppolo did. However, Rich, he's screwing our draft pick.
It's true, though. It's true. I mean, right now, I guess when the 49ers acquired him, the Patriots were pretty locked into the 34th overall draft pick. The Cleveland Browns were definitely going to have that top pick of that second round, but the 49ers were 1-9, I want to say. Or actually, they might have been 0-9 at that point. They hadn't won anything. They rolled with CJ Beathard, I believe is how you pronounce that, for a game. He won, and then they rolled with him again because he had won that game. They lost. They put in Garoppolo at the end, and it's been the Garoppolo era ever since. But the Patriots traded him. They had a really good shot at being the first or second pick of that second round. Now the 49ers are tied for the 5th worst record in the league. This pick is hurting them a little bit. They're dropping behind the Browns. They're dropping behind the Giants. I believe that they're tied right now with the Colts. And so, Garoppolo, I like that you're doing well. I like that you're building confidence. And I'm going to say it right now. I don't care about that draft pick. I'm super excited for Garoppolo to be playing so well. He's earned this right. He's been having such a great time out there. Everyone on that team just adores him. He's fit in so well. I'm rooting for Garoppolo just to be a 20-year starter in the NFL and have as much success as possible with the 49ers. Patriots draft picks, be damned.
No, it'll be sweet. And again, we look at that, how that trade went down. People are, of course, going to chirp the Patriots for they should have gotten 6 first-round picks and a 4th-round pick for him. He wasn't going to be a Patriot next year. Brady's playing way too well for that to happen. I think they moved when they could. They got really good return for him based on, in a vacuum, what they could get for him at the time for this half-season rental for a guy with 5.5 quarters of good play under his belt. He's doing great. More power to him. I think it's really cool that the place where Tom Brady was supposed to go, his backup went, and now he's doing well. It's a great story. And if you like football, you got to root for this kid.
Oh, absolutely. I'm very, very happy for him. We had to throw that out there a little bit because of the success that he's had, and we're just very, very excited to see where he takes his career. But moving on, Alec, let's go take a picture at the AFC right now, because it's down to 3 teams, in my opinion. I'd like to hear your thoughts on whether or not you agree with that. But it's the Patriots, it's the Steelers, and it's the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is very, very surprising. This past Sunday, both the Jaguars and the Steelers won, which caught me by surprise. I think that they both, specifically the Jaguars, caught me by surprise. They asserted their dominance. But let's first talk about the Steelers. They've won 4 out of their past 5 games by a last-minute field goal. That is not a sustainable way to win, especially when you're playing teams like the Indianapolis Colts, led by Jacoby Brissett, or the Brett Hundley-led Green Bay Packers. That's not how you're supposed to treat teams that are not very good. And so the Steelers are hanging on by the skin of their teeth, but they just beat the Baltimore Ravens 39-38. Ben Roethlisberger threw for 506 yards. Antonio Brown caught 11 for 213. Le'Veon Bell has continued to be a monster. He scored 3 touchdowns on the day. Alec, what is your sense from the Pittsburgh Steelers? Do you think that they're going to falter, or with the matchup against the Patriots next week, are they for real?
Well, it's funny. This is one of those weeks. It happens at least once or twice a season. Nothing goes the Patriots' way. There's all these games. If a couple of things had happened, they could have won the AFC East, but the Bills lost. That didn't happen. The Ravens were up by 9 with, 6 minutes left. They could have clinched a first-round bye with a win tonight and a win next week. That didn't happen. The Jags beat the Seahawks. That didn't happen. So everything kind of fell against the Patriots, which is always annoying to have happen. But, however, we're still in good shape because I really don't think the Steelers are legit. I really don't. Legit may be too strong of a word, but I think they play to the level of their competition. So if they're up against a crappy team, they're not going to play well. They're up against a good team, they're going to play better. And what that does is it gives you consistency in the regular season, but in the postseason, when the bounces start to come a little more tricky and you need the couple of things to go your way, you can't be playing down to your competition. And with teams like the Ravens probably make the postseason, the upstart Jaguars, whoever comes out of the AFC West, there's a lot of teams that are going to come into Pittsburgh most likely and shake things up a little bit. So you can't be relying on last-second field goals to win you games when it matters more, because you have to play more consistently high level and make teams adjust to you instead of vice versa. So while I still think they're a good team, they could very well beat the Patriots next week. They could very well represent the AFC in the Super Bowl if they don't play more consistently well and stop relying on these last-second miracle field goals and really poor clock management and bad play calling from opponents. They could be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, and my big concern with the Steelers right now as a team, and whether or not I consider them to be real or not, I'm just going to read a few things off. First, with their defense, allowing 38 points to the Baltimore Ravens, allowing 28 points to the Brett Hundley-led Green Bay Packers. When you put Tom Brady out there, you're going to have Brandon Cooks, Chris Hogan's back, you're going to have Rob Gronkowski, you have the running backs, Rex Burkhead and Dion Lewis are playing as their best football right now. This offense is clicking. And so the Steelers defense, I mean, they lost Ryan Shazier. I hope he has a speedy recovery. That's just a very unfortunate injury to have, but that greatly impacts their defensive capabilities. And so that's definitely a weakness, or just a point of concern now for the Steelers. After they had such a good start to the season, they've really fallen apart as of late. And then you look at the offensive side of the ball, and you see Le'Veon Bell and Antonio Brown. They are the best in the NFL at their respective positions, best running back, best wide receiver. They also account for 2/3 of the Steelers' entire offense. Le'Veon Bell has nearly 1,700 yards from scrimmage. Antonio Brown passed 1,500, and the Steelers have roughly 5,000 yards on the year. So those are 2 players that account for everything. And when you're playing the New England Patriots, they're going to scheme away one player. And sure, Antonio Brown's going to get his, but the Patriots are going to do their best to limit them. And if they can keep Bell and Brown to roughly 100 yards each, then the Patriots are going to have a lot of success, because that means that Ben Roethlisberger is going to have to look towards other players to get yards, because they're not going to win getting 200 yards on the game. They're going to have to find 200 yards elsewhere, and that's just not what the Steelers appear capable of doing. And the Patriots, when they lose, it's not because it's usually not because the opposing team's number one guy just completely goes off. It's because that third, fourth, and fifth guy on the offense steps up, has a very, very big game, and moves the chains. And we just haven't seen that the Steelers have those guys capable of doing it. And so when you combine the history that the Patriots have against the Steelers defense, how Tom Brady and the offense have had no problems whatsoever moving the ball down the field and scoring points, and then you flip it onto the defensive side and see how the Patriots match up pretty well against the Steelers offense, regardless of their immense talent level. I just don't think that the Steelers are a good enough team to take down New England in the long run. I just think that they're better than a lot of bad teams, and there are a lot of bad teams in the AFC, and so that's why they find themselves atop the conference. But I just don't think that they're going to be able to do it for the rest of the year.
Funny, Rich, you mentioned the three-team race in the Patriots, Steelers, and Jaguars. You didn't talk about the Chargers, Rich. You don't think they're for real? I think they're the best team in the AFC West right now. I think they are. I believe they're control their own destiny. If they win out, I think it's a game against the Chiefs they have on the slate still, so they can steal the division from the Chiefs. If the Chargers make it to the postseason, you don't see them going very far?
Well, I do think that the Chargers are the best team in the AFC West, but they have a long road ahead of them. You know, they'll open up probably against the Tennessee Titans. If I had to guess, the Titans are 8-5. They're going to be the 5th seed unless something happens. Marcus Mariota is dealing with a knee injury, so there could be some sort of derailment of the Titans over the final 3 weeks of the season for them. But right now, as it looks like, the AFC West will be hosting that 5th seed, so the Chargers could do that and move on to the next round. But we've seen that the Patriots were able to handle them and able to take them down in week 8. I actually wouldn't be surprised if the Chargers were able to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think that they do have the pieces in place to do that. But, I mean, they were 0-4 at the start of the season for a reason. They weren't able to execute. They are one of the teams that just does not have an ability to close when it matters most. And that matters especially in the postseason, especially when they're facing teams like the New England Patriots that do such an exceptional job of winning close games. And so the Chargers, I'm sure they can make some noise in the postseason. I also am convinced that the Jaguars will as well. But I don't know if they have complete enough teams to make a full run for the Super Bowl.
You know, it's funny, but you're talking about the AFC West, AFC North, AFC South, the postseason, the playoffs. We're fans. We're allowed to do that. The Patriots are not allowed to do that because they have been in the playoffs right now. As of right now, this conversation, they are still not anything official. That can change, however, tonight if they beat the Miami Dolphins. On Monday Night Football, they clinch the AFC East for the 11 millionth consecutive time. I think 2008, with in that Castle era, was the last time they didn't clinch the AFC East. Only twice under the Tom Brady era have they not clinched the AFC East. They can do so with the win at Miami. They just played the Dolphins a couple weeks ago. However, it was a Matt Moore-led team, very different squad of Matt Moore versus Jay Cutler at Gillette versus at Miami. The Dolphins, as you said, are not great on Monday night. However, the Patriots are not great in Miami. That's been a place they've struggled historically as of late. So, Rich, how much can you take away from that first contest a couple weeks ago with the Matt Moore-led team with Jay Cutler-led team? And of these two stats, the 0 for life in primetime this season and the Patriots not playing well or doing well in Miami historically, what are your early thoughts on this game?
I think that all of those components definitely matter. Everything that you said about the Dolphins having a strong home field advantage, where I believe Tom Brady is 7-8 playing in Miami, which is not a good record as far as Tom Brady is concerned. And when you look at how he plays when he's in Buffalo or in New York against the Jets, and the Dolphins in Miami, it's given him problems just because of the heat. Having it this late in the season, maybe it won't give him as much trouble and won't give the Patriots as much trouble. So I think that that's an advantage that is kind of neutralized a little bit. Primetime, definitely something that should play an impact because Patriots rise on the biggest stage. The Dolphins seem to shrink, so that should definitely come up. But the biggest difference that you mentioned that I think will play a factor is the difference between Jay Cutler and Matt Moore. And we should talk on that a little bit. You know, comparing their two different styles of play, Jay Cutler is a little bit more conservative, which is interesting to say because that's not what he's known for. He's known as the gunslinger, but Matt Moore is a lot more reckless with the football. Matt Moore takes shots down the field a lot more than Jay Cutler does. Cutler is more willing to settle for the passes underneath, most likely to Jarvis Landry in the slot. And so you see what the Patriots' strategy was against the Miami Dolphins 2 weeks ago, where they wanted to funnel everything to Jarvis Landry. They didn't want to give up the big play. They wanted the Dolphins to lead extended drives. I think that is still in play, but they have to be conscientious of the fact that Cutler is more capable of leading those extended drives than Matt Moore was. And that's going to be a big difference.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also, the Patriots are without Rob Gronkowski, which is different. Let's talk about the offense and defense a little bit. Let's stick on this Miami Dolphins offense versus the Patriots defense. Kyle Van Noy is out today. David Harris is a healthy scratch. Trey Flowers is out today. A lot of key pieces along the defensive front are be missing in today's action. How do you think that will affect the Patriots' defensive strategy, and how do you replace those guys with who's healthy?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see Dietrich Wise, who is a game-time decision. He's been dealing with a foot injury, so he's a rookie. He's going to see a little bit more time. Trevor Riley is going to have to step right back into the lineup. He's back from his concussion injury, so hopefully he'll be able to remain healthy and contribute moving forward. I believe Marquise Flowers and Landon Roberts are going to have bigger roles as well. But my defensive X factor right now, Alec, your favorite Patriots defender of all time. Let's hear it for Jonathan Freeney.
No!
He is active for this game. He is a special teams star. The coaches love him. He's been with the team for 1 week, and he's already being activated over David Harris, which I think just shows what the team has in mind for this Dolphins defense. They needed someone who offers a little bit more flexibility, able to play on the edge. I think they believe Jonathan Freeney can do that. We didn't really see that in real time. It's more in theory that he can do it than in actuality, but that's what's going to happen. And I think that Jonathan Freeney is probably going to be playing behind Trevor Riley. Trevor Riley is going to take the bulk of the snaps left over from Kyle Van Noy on the edge, and Marquise Flowers is going to have a bigger job, but there probably will be a time where Jonathan Freeney goes onto the field, and it will be imperative that he does not make mistakes, because that was kind of what he was known for whenever he was on defense in the first stint before he broke his shoulders. I believe he broke both of them he in 2015, 2016, but he was doing well those like 2 games before he suffered that injury. But other than those 2 games, he just did not deliver on the field when needed. So X factor, Jonathan Freeney, if he can step up, the Patriots are, I mean, what more can you ask? If Jonathan Freeney's playing well, then you can't really complain.
Tell you what a gut punch for old Alec this is. David Harris, the healthy scratch, Jonathan Freeney in. No one's more vocally critical of Jonathan Freeney than I am. I hope I am wrong. I would love to come on the podcast after this game and eat some crow as to how well Freeney played. But it's crazy how when you go into 2016 season, we're now coming into the home stretch with your starting linebackers, Landon Roberts and Jonathan Freeney are the guys in the middle. You had Dante Hightower and Shea McClellan and David Harris and Kyle Van Noy and all these guys. Now we're relying on Freeney and Roberts coming in there to get it done. I am very concerned about that because coverage linebacker, receiving back, that's always been an issue. The Dolphins, I believe, are without one of the starting running backs today, though, correct?
Yeah, Damian Williams is going to be inactive. He's dealing with like a chest, shoulder, rib injury. He hurt it against the Patriots 2 weeks ago. He's still not ready to play. So Kenyon Drake is going to be the guy. He's coming off of a very, very big game last week against the Denver Broncos. He really settled in. Bill Belichick has definitely taken note of his ability in the open field. So New England's just going to have to focus on corralling Kenyon Drake, making sure that he doesn't get catches out of the backfield or get any space in the open field.
So how do you do that, Rich? Is Kenyon Drake the guy you target? Or obviously the answer is Jarvis Landry in terms of the guy you want to shut down. But Landry always seems to get his against the Patriots. I feel like you could have a 1-10 package with one rusher and 10 guys covering Jarvis Landry. He'd still get about 60, 70 yards to the touchdown. How do the Patriots shut Jarvis Landry out today? Is it a Malcolm Butler assignment? Is it a Stephon Gilmore assignment? Or some combination of the both?
I'm going to flip this on you. I think that they're going to want Jarvis Landry to get as many targets as possible because that means that they're not throwing it to Kenny Stills or Devontae Parker. And this is something that free safety Deron Harmon alluded to in a press conference, which was very weird for him to give up anything. But he said that the Patriots wanted the Dolphins to lead these 15-plus play extended drives because, as he said explicitly, teams can't do that. Teams will always mess up if you give them a span of 15 plays in order to score. And that's where Kenny Stills comes in, is that he can get 30, 40 yards at a time and really flip the field. So the Patriots don't want that to happen. They don't want to give them any of those chunk plays. And if they give the ball to Jarvis Landry, he averages 6-7 yards a catch, which is what he definitely does. Patriots are going to take that because every so often there's going to be something that falls incomplete, or maybe Jay Cutler is going to get impatient and he's going to throw the ball deep down to Stills, who will be double covered, and that'll create a turnover opportunity for the Patriots. But the Dolphins right now, they are one of the bottom, I believe they rank 31st in the NFL in number of drives that have gone on for 8 or more plays. They rank 26th in number of drives, or in the percent of drives that went to 8 or more plays that ended in a touchdown. So if the Patriots can force the Dolphins to 8 or more plays on their drive, then the odds are they're probably not going to score a touchdown because they're just going to be frustrated, either get a turnover or they're just going to have to punt or settle for a field goal. So if the Patriots don't give up any of those home runs, they're going to be fine. And that involves taking away Parker, taking away Stills, taking away Thomas, and making them go to Jarvis Landry in the middle of the field, because Landry, he's a great player, but he's not someone that's going to just take over the entire game.
No, he's not. And I think if you are up against Jay Cutler, you want to force him to throw the ball a lot. Cutler has a reputation for throwing a lot of picks against the Patriots. I think back to his Bears days, Patriots ate him alive. They confuse the blitz packages. They confuse the coverage a lot. However, the way they make him throw, obviously, is to limit the running game, which I think they can do now that my defensive X factor, Malcolm Brown, seems to be healthy and back in the lineup. I don't see the Dolphins being able to run the ball too well against the Patriots, especially a front four that features Allen Branch and Malcolm Brown in the middle. Maybe setting the edge might be a problem with Trey Flowers out and Dietrich Wise maybe being a little overzealous in his pass rush. However, if they can limit that run with Malcolm Brown and Allen Branch and force Cutler to throw it, he will make mistakes eventually. And I think Deron Harmon and Devin McCourty have a field day back there.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good one too, because Kenyon Drake is a very talented runner. I believe he's better fit in kind of the zone scheme because he's not a grinder. He's not someone that you stack up man on man and he's going to bust through the line. He needs to get those gaps in order to make those cuts. He's not going to push the pile. And so if the Patriots do a great job in the middle with Branch and Brown and Lawrence Guy, then they're going to be in good shape. But that's only going to work if the Patriots put points on the board. And if we're looking at the inactives as well, Marcus Cannon is out yet again. Cole Croston is not going to play. He is a healthy scratch, as is Mike Gillislee, although he technically has an illness on the injury report. And with those in mind, that means that Chris Hogan's back. Chris Hogan is on the field. Adrian Waddle is also on the field. The Patriots have a lot of really solid pieces right now. And if you flip the Chris Hogan and Rob Gronkowski pieces, that's kind of the big difference between the Patriots in Week 12 against the Dolphins and right now. Do you think that Chris Hogan is going to be able to make up for Gronkowski's production? Because remember, Gronkowski had 82 yards and 2 touchdowns against the Dolphins just 2 weeks ago. Or do you think that the Patriots are going to ease him into it?
Honestly, I hope it's the latter. I don't really want him to be injured for the Pittsburgh game or later on in the season. I'd much rather them ease him into the lineup and rely on the receiving backs, rely on Rex Burkhead, Dion Lewis, Danny Amendola. I'd rather have those guys take the bulk of the carries and the bulk of the catches. However, you really can't discredit the mismatch potential Chris Hogan has. He's such a sneaky, uncoverable guy. He's got weird size. He's got very deceptive speed. He's bigger than he looks. I don't think he can duplicate Gronkowski's production because there's different players. I can't see him lining up in the slot running on the seam. However, I think that Cooks and Hogan on the outside with Amendola in the slot and Dion Lewis, who's running at a on-fire level right now, represents a real threat. And with the Dolphins missing some players in the secondary, I'm not sure they have the personnel or the talent to match up with the defensive weapons the Patriots have.
Yeah, I like that too. And you factor in Rex Burkhead as well for the Patriots run game. There's a lot of pieces that you can really enjoy. Dolphins will be without starting cornerback Cordrea Tankersley. So that should create a lot of opportunities on the outside. We'll see who gets that matchup. Alec, who do you think is going to step up at tight end? Do you think Dwayne Allen is going to go for 100 yards and 3 touchdowns? Is that something that I can expect?
Well, Rich, as much as I'd love to steal your boy, I can't take Dwayne Allen as a real factor today. I can't. The other option is basically Jacob Hollister. I don't think he's going to go off. I'll be very curious to see if they don't run a lot of just bigger sets. Maybe just force the ball down the throat with Dion Lewis. Maybe get Cam Fleming in there as a third tight end. Go super jumbo and use my offensive X factor, James Devlin, as a sneaky receiving option.
Like it.
Yeah, I think he can catch the ball better than most fullbacks in the league. No one ever seems to cover him. They motioned it out in the X position as a receiver a couple times this year. I can see him having like 3 or 4 catches, and maybe this is the game where he catches his first ever regular season touchdown from Tom Brady.
That would be amazing. Help Tom inch a little bit closer to Vinny Testaverde's record for most unique touchdown receivers. That would be pretty great to see. James Devlin definitely deserves it. I like that as an X factor. I'm going to go a little bit more boring than you. I'm going to go with Rex Burkhead. I think that Burkhead has an opportunity to really step up. He and Dion Lewis have been doing an exceptional job over the past few weeks, back-to-back weeks of 190 plus rushing yards on the day. I think that they're going to try and continue that again against the Miami Dolphins. They had success before. I don't see why they wouldn't try it again. It's going to be similar to what they did against the Indianapolis Colts in years of old, where they had success running the ball, and they're just going to keep doing it until they prove they can stop it. And that'll take away a little bit of the loss of Rob Gronkowski in the passing game, because you know what? Dwayne Allen's still a very good blocker. Might as well use him in that capacity, just kind of grind it out until to try and keep everyone as healthy as possible so everyone can return next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And with that in mind, Alec, what is your game prediction?
All right. Again, the only thing that worries me about this game is the fact that it's in Miami, and this is just that week where nothing went right for the Patriots. Every win they needed to happen didn't happen. They ended up not getting any help around the league. So maybe this is just like that week where the karma gods pay them a visit and screw them over. They haven't really had their stinker of the year yet. I guess you want to count the KC game. That might be it. But they haven't really had that one game where they lose to a team they just probably shouldn't lose to. But I can't call that tonight. Tom Brady's too good on Monday night. He's too good in primetime. The Patriots know that the AFC's crown is on the line today. They usually play well in the hat and T-shirt games, and there are stakes involved, and they have to keep pace with Pittsburgh if they want to have the inside track on that one seed. I think the Patriots win this one pretty easily. It might not be as close as it might be a little closer than the final score will indicate, but they'll pull away late. I'm going Patriots 29-9.
Excellent. That's a pretty good score. All right. I'm not going to try and steal your, I don't know what game that is, Price is Right. I'm not going to try and undercut you a little bit on the dollar value, but I do think that the Patriots are going to have a good game. They won last time 35-17. I wouldn't be shocked if it was something very similar to that. I'm going to go with the Patriots winning this one 32-14.
32-14. I like it. Again, if those scores hold up, we'll have another AFC title to talk about, which would be pretty sweet. And then it is setting our sights on the bye week. Before we do that, let's get this Dolphins game taken care of.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll have more information at patspulpit.com, and we're going to have a pretty special podcast coming out tomorrow. Alec and I are going to start recording ourselves a little bit through the fourth quarter, so we'll get some live reactions on how this game plays out. And so until next time, Alec, you have a good one.
You too, buddy.